A player that I feel like we are talking about every single week for a different reason this NBA offseason is Zion Williamson. And at one time, it's about women and people he's paying, and he's having a baby, and he's dating. He's just out there doing a lot of crazy stuff right now. And if you haven't seen it, it's all over Twitter. It's all over the internet. Everybody's talking about it. So it started with the women he was dating and having babies. If he's having a baby, congratulations and good luck with it. But we were also talking about his diet, his weight, his injuries, his game overall. All these things are constantly just a topic of conversation. I mean, the dating and stuff, the women, that's all new. But the diet, the food, his weight, his injuries, all these things are constantly talked about with Zion just because of simply the fact that he hasn't stayed healthy very long. He kind of goes in and out. When he's healthy, he's fantastic. There's no question about it. One of the best players in the league. When he's not healthy and he's sitting on the bench and his team is winning or losing, you're always going to talk about a guy like this. His name came up during the draft, potentially, in trade talks. We don't know if that was something that the Pelicans themselves were pushing or other teams were just kind of fishing to see if they can get in there. But his name just keeps popping up in headlines. And just recently, they were talking about his game and what he's willing to develop and not develop, what he's working on, supposedly, apparently, allegedly. But then he actually made an appearance himself on the Gilbert Arenas show and talked about some other things too. So I just want to dive into a little bit of this. Obviously, there's plenty out there to digest. If you want to go more in depth with it, let me know. We can definitely do more content on Zion Williamson, directly, but let's just kind of glance over some of the hot topics that are popping up right now for him. And again, one of those being the conversation of his game. NBA Central here posted this from Rick Bucher. Zion Williamson reportedly has no interest in developing a floater and pull-up jumper per Rick Bucher. Where are the floaters? Up and under layups, his pull-up jumpers at the elbow. Now, from what I've been told, he's shown no interest in developing those tricks that Blake Griffin learned along with decent three-point shot when the injuries started to pile up for him and allowed him to single-handedly drag the Detroit Pistons to a playoff berth. Again, this is, Rick talking. I don't know where he's getting this information from. Obviously, these guys always say sources. We don't know who his source is. We don't know if it's someone who's just not a fan of Zion, is just trying to put it out there. A lot of times when it comes to these things where there's sources, you have to really question who is the source, right? Like, are guys just creating content and they're just trying to, create clickbait and create conversation, which I'm not mad at. Do your thing. Or are they actually getting legitimate sources? Or are these just people who are pretending to have this information, pretending to know this, and they just want to kind of, spread this stuff out there, whether it's to hurt Zion, whether it's just because they're just hungry for attention and want the conversation flowing, whatever the case may be. It's hard to believe that Zion isn't working on ways to elevate his game. Again, he's a basketball player, an elite level basketball player. There's no reason to believe that a player of his caliber doesn't want to continue to get better, right? Unless he's distracted. There's potential to be that he's distracted, right? We've seen some things this offseason that say he's a little distracted. I would say him being distracted is definitely potentially an issue. But I don't think that's stopping him from, improving his game. One of the reasons why I believe that he is working on his game always and that he's not, not willing to adjust and willing to adapt and willing to improve is because when he was on the Gilbert Arenas show, he said this, man, I'm just a hooper. So when I'm sitting on the sideline watching my teammates in certain games and they're losing, I'm like, man, shit, I know if I was out there, I could change the outcome. And so this is more of, he's not responding to the, is he working on his game? Is he trying to improve? What he's working on here is just, or what he's referring to here is the comments about, him not caring about the Pelicans or not caring about his teammates, not caring about basketball because he's always injured. He's always on the bench. So, people are going to always, kind of throw slander his way, especially frustrated Pelican fans. So in this case, that's what he's referring to. He's saying that, people are doubting my love for the game or doubting, my passion to win or help my teammates. But when I'm in that situation where my teammates, need me and I'm on the bench and I'm looking at us losing, and they're not always losing, they're a really good team in general, but when they are losing, he sees it as like, man, I could be helping them. And I know I could help us, get out of this situation, maybe not lose some of these games that we're losing because I'm that much of a difference maker. So when you say he's not willing to improve, it's kind of hard to believe that, right? Just athletes in general, especially ones at the top of their game. I mean, at any level, they're always looking to improve. They're always looking to add things into their, array, their arsenal of weapons. It's hard to believe that a player of his caliber just isn't willing to work on that. Like, you don't get to that level without the will, the want, the need to be great. Now, did he get a bunch of money get distracted by women, all these kind of things. He's young. That's 100% possible. But when you think about it, he's only like 23 years old. We talk about Zion like he's super old, but when you think about it, when you're 23 years old, he's got lots of time to improve, plenty of time to improve his game. You don't give up on a guy like that. Same thing with the Ja Morant situation, right? You don't give up on him, regardless of the off the court issues, regardless of the stupid decisions he's making. He's too young and too talented to just like act like it's, the end of the world. So in this situation, to me, this is another situation where I'm not buying necessarily the fact that, Zion isn't, willing to improve or going to improve. Again, he's a young guy. He may be making some bad decisions. He may not be totally focused like he should be. But at the end of the day, will he do those things? I think he will. Will he get on track? I think he will. As long as he can put those, injuries behind him and don't let them be a concern for the rest of his career every single season, then I think that there's definitely an opportunity here for, him to get much better. And he did mention, like, Gil asked him, is it hard to diet? Is it hard to, keep your weight in check as a young man, a young guy in this game? And he did say, like, yeah, it is hard sometimes with, my weight in terms of I got all this money, I have an easy, it's an easier situation for him to, be less motivated necessarily and eat a lot more than your average person just because of the fact that he can do that, right? Like he has the money to do that, the capabilities to do that. So it's definitely an issue. But again, closing out the Zion topic, I think that Zion will get it all under wraps. I think he will continue to improve his game. I think he will grow up here. I'm hoping that the women situation, him having a baby, just the spotlight being on him all off season for things other than just the weight or just the consistent, spotlight being on him for the weight and just the injuries and stuff, that he will grow up out of this. He's 23, plenty of time to improve. Again, one of the highest level players in the game when healthy. And so I don't think this is going to be a continued issue for him. And I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think, actually, let's put it this way, right? Rather than your thoughts on Zion, which player do you think is in a worse situation right now career-wise? Are you more concerned about the Zion arc and how he ends his career or the Ja Morant arc and how he ends his career? Which one has issues that would bother you more as a fan of their team? Or maybe you are a fan of one of their teams. Which one bothers you more? The player who is hurt a lot, seems to be out of shape sometimes, having, some weight issues here and there, now is clearly being distracted by women and these kind of things? Or would you rather the player who on the court is great, is fit, everything looks fine, but off the court, you're seeing him drinking a lot. You're seeing him, playing with guns a lot. You see him clearly influenced by the culture that he's influenced by. Which one concerns you more as a fan? Which one would you want to rather, least build around, least be the, franchise player of your team? Drop that in the comments. I want to continue the conversation with you guys there.